5 ancient megastructures, impossible with the technology of their time. Imagine you are a modern engineer. You have the best computers, precision machines, laser equipment. Now, take all of that from your hands. Take away the tractors. Take away the steel, take away the electricity, take away the cement. Now, with stone, copper and wood, build a structure that weighs 80,000 tons. Place it perfectly aligned with the stars. Do it with centimeter precision, on a scale that would take centuries to complete, using only manual labor. Sounds impossible? It seemed impossible to scientists too, but it happened. And not just once. It happened 5 times, on different continents, separated by thousands of years. And even today, nobody has been able to completely explain how. Welcome to the story of 5 megastructures that should not exist. The Pyramid of Khufu was built about 4,500 years ago. Let that sink in for a moment. 4,500 years. Before the Roman Empire, before the Great Wall of China, before any structure you know. And it is not just a pile of stacked stones. The Pyramid of Khufu contains 2.3 million blocks of limestone. Each of these blocks weighs, on average, 2.5 tons. Some weigh up to 80 tons. Imagine weighing a block of rock and then moving it hundreds of meters. Now imagine doing this 2.3 million times. But here is what keeps archaeologists awake at night. The precision. The blocks are not just stacked, they fit together with such exact precision that you cannot pass a sheet of paper between them. A sheet of paper. Today, with computers and precision machines, you would have difficulty doing this. The builders of the Pyramid of Khufu did this without any modern instrument. Worse still, they did it repeatedly, block after block, layer after layer. The orientation is another mystery. The Pyramid of Khufu points to true north, with a margin of error of only 3 minutes of arc. 3 minutes. The International Space Station, with all our satellites and GPS technology, is not more precise than this. The ancient Egyptians did this by observing the stars, at night, without telescopes, without electronic instruments. How did they measure? How did they calculate? How did they transport? Did the Egyptians leave records? Yes, but these records speak of slaves, of earthen ramps, of cedar wood from Lebanon, and the calculations do not add up. They do not add up at all. Modern studies show that with the available labor force, using the techniques that we know the ancient Egyptians possessed, it would take 1,000 years to build the Pyramid of Khufu. But it was built in only 20 years. Some historians say 14 years. How do you reduce 1,000 years of work to 14 or 20 years? What is the factor that is being ignored? Now, fly to Peru. Machu Picchu rests 2,430 meters above sea level, so high that clouds pass through its buildings. It was built by the Incas sometime between 1,430 and 1,450 of our era. The place itself is impossible. The structure is built on a mountain ridge, on terrain that seems impossible even to walk on, much less to build a city. But the Incas not only built a city, they built a place that for centuries remained completely invisible to the outside world. Machu Picchu contains approximately 200 structures, including temples, residences, warehouses, and buildings whose functions we still do not know. And each of these buildings is built with stones that fit together so perfectly that you, again, cannot pass a thread between them. But Machu Picchu has an even more disturbing detail. The Incas built entire cities without using mortar, without cement, just stone upon stone. These structures are still standing after 600 years. They survive earthquakes that topple modern concrete and steel structures. Why? Because their engineering is so precise that the very weight of the stones above holds the ones below. Precision chamber quality, built on a mountain with what were supposedly primitive bronze tools. The Incas would have started the work then with bronze tools. Bronze is soft, they would have had to constantly reshape their tools, yet the blocks have surfaces so smooth they appear almost polished. Some have edges so precise they seem laser-cut. Now cross the Atlantic Ocean and go to England, Stonehenge. A small word for a great mystery. Stonehenge is so famous that we forget to be strange about it. A formation of giant rocks in an English field. Done. But just a formation of rocks? No. Stonehenge is a world-class astronomical observatory that was built around 2500 before Christ. And it was built by people who, according to conventional records, should not even know that astronomical observation was a possible thing. The stones of Stonehenge come from two different places. The smaller ones, called blue stones, weigh about 4 tons and travelled from Preseli Hills in Wales. Preseli Hills is 240 kilometres away, 480 kilometres round trip. Large blocks of rock weighing 4 tons, dragged manually for 240 kilometers, without wheels, without horses, only rope and human labor. And they were not just dragged, they were floated. The builders of Stonehenge created a sophisticated system of channels and floating platforms to transport the stones via water routes when possible, reducing the work of land dragging. Think about project engineering. You need to move a 4-ton rock. You figure out that floating it is easier than dragging, so you create water infrastructure to do it. This is not just labor. This is strategic thinking. This is engineering. The sarsens, the larger stones, weigh between 25 and 50 tons. These traveled only a few kilometers away from the Marlborough Plain, just a few kilometers. But still, a 50-ton rock moved at distance and placed with precision in perfect geometric formations, and everything pointing to solar and lunar alignments. At the dawn of the summer solstice, the rising sun shines directly through the heelstone and illuminates the center of the circle. At the sunset of the winter solstice, the setting sun passes through the same axis. And this is not accidental coincidence. When archaeologists calculate the slopes and angles, they discover that Stonehenge was built with a precision that matches real astronomy. Someone knew exactly where the sun would have risen and set 4,500 years ago and built a stone structure to mark those points. How did they know? How did they calculate? The people who built Stonehenge did not have telescopes, they did not have astronomical tables, they did not have any measuring instrument beyond rope and possibly wooden rulers. And yet, their structure is so astronomically precise that you could use it as a calendar clock. You could use it to predict eclipses. Renaissance astronomers, with their primitive optical instruments, were not more precise. Now fly to Peru again, but to a different desert. The Nazca Lines. If you have never heard of them, prepare yourself for a perplexity that goes beyond anything you have heard before. The Nazca Lines are enormous geoglyphs carved into the Peruvian desert, created between 500 before Christ and 500 after Christ. We are talking about a period of more than 1,000 years, where the ancient Peruvians consistently created giant structures that can only be seen from the air, from airplanes, from balloons, from satellites. But there were no airplanes. There were no balloons. The ancient Peruvians did not have flight technology, so how did they create structures that only make sense if seen from above? The largest line represents a hummingbird. It is gigantic. It is 275 meters long. Another drawing is a spider. It is 46 meters. A monkey, 135 meters. A llama. Perfect geometry, absolute symmetry. Straight lines that did not deviate centimeters over hundreds of meters, all done by removing the dark stones from the desert soil to reveal the light sand below, creating contrast. Archaeologists believe they were created by slaves working in teams, tracing lines according to smaller-scale sketches. This makes theoretical sense. But practically, Have you ever tried to draw a straight line for 200 meters of distance, constantly adjusting the angle, ensuring perfect symmetry without ever being able to see the entire image of what you are creating? If you made a mistake at the end, there is no going back. You need to start again. Hundreds of meters lost, tens of thousands of hours of work wasted, and there is more. Some of the lines are only 30 centimeters wide. You are creating a line 275 meters long with a precision of 30 centimeters wide, with primitive tools, without being able to see the entire result, without knowing if you are right until later scribes confirm it from an aerial perspective. But here is the real craziness. Nobody does this without a reason. Why would you dedicate centuries of work to creating images you can never see? Why would you refine the techniques over 1,000 years to improve something that is invisible to you? The ancient Peruvians did not have airplanes. They did not have hot air balloons. They did not have any means of flying, and yet they created these images on a scale so large that the only way to fully appreciate them is by flying over them. This suggests two possibilities. One, the ancient Peruvians had a form of flight technology that we lost in the historical record. Two, they created these images for someone who could fly, someone who could appreciate the view from above, someone from the sky. Now, fly to Lebanon, Baalbek, the city in ruins in the Bekaa Valley in Lebanon, more precisely the Baalbek quarries, where the stones were not completely removed from their place of origin. And here is where the story becomes absolutely impossible. There is a rock in Baalbek called the Pregnant Stone, or Hajar al-Hubla. It is still partially embedded in its original limestone matrix. It measures 21.5 meters in length. It measures 4.8 meters in height. It measures 4.2 meters in depth. When you calculate the volume and density of limestone, this rock weighs approximately 900 tons. 900 tons. A 900-ton rock that is still in its original piece of earth, but has been separated from its matrix on three sides. Who separated it? How? With what tools? The work of cutting a 900-ton rock, even with modern tools, would be a major engineering project. You would need heavy equipment, perhaps controlled explosion chambers, or diamond saws. The ancient Lebanese had only bronze tools and possibly iron. But wait, it gets worse. There are three other blocks in Baalbek known as the trilithons. Each of these blocks weighs approximately 800 tons each. And they are not just in one piece of intact rock. They were at some point completely removed from their matrix, transported and placed on top of other stones as part of temple construction. How do you move an 800-ton rock across land from a quarry to a construction site in mountainous terrain without any modern mechanical equipment? The Egyptians may have had slaves in quantity, the Peruvians may have had labor in quantity, but physics does not change with the quantity of people. You can have 10,000 people pushing an 800-ton rock, but the rock still requires a determined amount of force to move. Levers help, rollers help. But there are limits to how much levers and rollers can do when you are moving an 800-ton rock. Archaeologists speculate that the builders of Baalbek used a combination of ramps, wooden rollers, and perhaps even a primitive form of oil or fat to reduce friction. This theoretically works, but is it efficient? Is it realistic? With what quantities of wood? How many workers? How many years of work? The calculations never completely add up. And there is one more detail. The trilithons are not just placed one on top of the other, they are aligned, precisely aligned. The stones fit together one into the other again, with little margin of error. You moved an 800-ton rock across a mountain and then placed it in such a precise position that it fits perfectly with 800-ton stones on both sides. It is not just brute force, it is precision engineering. Now, let us think about what we have here. In the Pyramid of Khufu, You have 2.3 million blocks placed with centimeter precision, astronomically oriented to true north, built in 20 years with technology that failed to leave clear records of how it was done. In Machu Picchu, you have an entire city built on an impossible mountain with structures that do not use mortar, with such exact precision that it survives earthquakes, built in a time period that leaves no records of preparation or planning. In Stonehenge, you have an astronomical observatory that marks solar and lunar alignments with a precision that would correspond to astronomical knowledge of centuries later. In the Nazca Lines, you have gigantic images created on a scale that only makes sense if seen from above, created by people who did not have flight technology. In Baalbek, you have rocks of 800 to 900 tons moved and placed with precision, supposedly using only bronze tools and manual labor. What do all these 5 sites have in common? They all defy conventional explanations. They all require a level of technology, planning, or engineering that seems out of reach for the time when they were built. They all display precision that rivals or surpasses modern engineering. And they all were created by different cultures, on different continents, separated by thousands of years. You have one explanation option. First option: these cultures possessed advanced technologies that were lost. Sumerians, Egyptians, Peruvians, prehistoric British peoples, and Phoenicians all possessed independently sophisticated construction and engineering technologies that disappeared completely from historical records. There is no evidence of transition from an advanced technology to a primitive technology. It simply disappeared. Second option: these cultures received external help. Help from beings with superior technology. Beings who could provide tools, astronomical knowledge, engineering planning. Beings who disappeared as completely as the lost technology disappeared. Third option: our conventional explanations are correct, and these accomplishments are not as impossible as they seem. Despite every calculation suggesting otherwise, despite every engineering analysis pointing to something being wrong, despite modern historians not being able to replicate, even with modern technology, how these structures were built so efficiently, the truth is that nobody knows for sure. Traditional archaeologists prefer the third option. Alternative theorists prefer the second. And there is a growth of scholars who argue for the first option, that there was an advanced global civilization that was forgotten, destroyed, or purposely erased from history. But here is what we know for certain. We know that these structures exist. We know that they were built. We know that their existence, as it is, has not been well explained by the historical records we possess. We know that the work required, according to modern engineering standards, is extraordinary. And we know that extraordinary people did extraordinary things. Perhaps the question is not how they managed to do this with the tools we are sure they possessed. Perhaps the question is, what is the tool we are forgetting? What is the piece missing from the puzzle? Because in each of these 5 sites there is a presence of advanced knowledge. Knowledge of astronomy, knowledge of precision engineering, knowledge of materials, of force, of how to move rock on a gigantic scale. Knowledge that should not be there but was. And all of this leaves one final question that echoes through the centuries. If these ancient civilizations had access to a technology we have now lost, or if they received it from outside, then where did that technology go? Why do we not have any evidence of its existence after these monuments were built? It is as if someone built an emperor of impossible machines, left 5 samples, and then disappeared completely, taking all the instruction manuals with them. The Pyramid of Khufu still stands, Machu Picchu still stands, Stonehenge still stands, the Nazca Lines still stand, the trilithons still stand, and each of them every day whispers a secret that we simply have not yet been able to hear completely. Perhaps one day we will understand. Perhaps the technology that built these wonders was not from the past, nor from the future, but from a place that we have not yet learned to look for.